Hello and welcome to a brand new Two Tokens podcast. And today we're going to discuss fractional ownership with Meine Jansberg, Director of Catena Power, and Arnoud Jullens, Director of BlockLab. We have a very nice event here today. It's called the Energy Tokenization Roundtable, in which various people from thought leaders, experts, startups, all kind of people who are interested in the energy transition are sharing their views, opinions and thoughts about the energy transition and tokenization of energy. And we already recorded various podcasts. The first one was orchestrating the energy transition and the second one was tagging energy. And today the third one is the fractional ownership. Before we really start off, I obviously would like to ask, if you haven't subscribed yet, feel free to subscribe to this channel. Also, please don't forget to give this video a like. And if you haven't done so, also hit the bell button so that you're always the first to know about all these new podcasts that we are recording, because there are many more to come. And it's, if you want to stay on top of the game, you need to follow this podcast. Arnoud, you are, I think, new to this channel. Or have you done already a podcast earlier?
No, this is my first podcast.
Yes,
yeah, my first podcast ever and first on this channel.
That's what I thought. Mine is already a friend of the podcast. He introduced himself a few times, although you do get the chance to do it one more time again. But would you like to tell to the viewers, and obviously also to me, although we know each other a little bit, what it is that you're doing and what's your background?
Yeah, well, of course. And first of all, thank you for having me. As you already introduced me, Arnoud Jullens, director at BlockLab. BlockLab is a software company in the port of Rotterdam. And we develop software innovations for the energy transition and for the logistic change. And I'm leading that, with two co-directors and I think more or less 30 developers.
30?
Yes.
Quite
Still
a big
growing.
Team.
Big team and growing, yes.
Wow. Hey, Meinert, you're already, like I said, you're already a friend of the podcast. You've been here multiple times. But for those who haven't seen you yet, what is exactly that you do and what's your background?
Yeah, Meine Jansberg, working with Catena Power. We focus on democratizing energy assets. We think it's a way to give people the tools to orchestrate their own energy, to balance their own usage of energy. And it's a very complicated topic to be able to let people manage their own energy consumption and energy bill. We need to take a lot of steps. And with Catena Power, we have set the first steps in democratizing energy assets and make it possible for people to buy a little piece to compensate for their energy consumption.
Yeah, basically to create energy independence.
Exactly.
I mean, also for the viewers at home, if you haven't done so or if you haven't seen yet, the first podcast was about orchestrating the energy transition, and it really touched upon why it is important that we tokenize the energy transition and what kind of steps that need to be taken. In the second podcast, we discussed energy tagging, how can we create more transparency within the energy market. And I really feel that fractionalizing the energy assets and creating, applying energy tokenization to this field is basically the most tangible step that we can do at this moment. And BlockLab, you are creating such a platform, from what I understood.
Yep.
Why is it exactly that you chose to create such a platform?
Well, I think we face a huge challenge in the energy transition, of course, and you've discussed that in other podcasts as well. But part of that is that we need everybody to be involved to do that transition together, right? And then it's not just the investors, it's not just the government, it's not just the network operators, it's all of us. But if you want to allow all of us, literally all of us, the public, to join the energy transition, then it does help if we all can invest in sustainable assets, which could be solar parks, which could be windmill parks. And well, as we all know, we can't buy a windmill, it's way too expensive, but often even in solar, well, if you have your own house, if you are able to install solar panels on your roof, then, well, you're in a position to invest. But if you're renting a place or you have less money to invest than investing in your own system, we would love to facilitate that you also can invest in the energy transition, even if it's just 100 euros, 50 euros. Join it, and especially in these times, there's a good profit to make as well for everyone. So it's not just investing in transition, but it's also let everyone, well, let's say, join, but also benefit from what's happening at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, you already mentioned as well, democratizing energy. It's something, basically you are almost like some sort of customer from a platform. I mean, you're applying what Blocklab is developing. How do you see that? What are the important steps that at this moment need to be taken, and how we can apply fractional ownership?
Actually, there is a lot on the table already, but it takes courage and effort to bring it together and to integrate the different systems that are available. Because if you talk about investing, you immediately get into the topic of the regulatory.
Yep.
Hey, am I allowed to do it? So there is so much attached to this to this discussion to open up the system. To help people go invest, manage their own energy bills at home. It takes system integration, and the first steps that we are taking is simply showing with a MVP that we're able to do this fractional ownership within the legal framework, and that is, from a technical point of view, it's doable, but the difficulty is in legislation and regulatory issues. And we need to overcome that as a first step. And a showcase is very important. And you're working on a nice showcase, huh?
Yeah.
I heard.
Yeah, so in a way we're the tech provider, but I completely agree with what you're saying. It's a system that has to orchestrate this, and I think, well, for us, 2tokens plays an important role in that. So we're currently developing a solar system on this park. We're sitting at the Green Village at the moment.
The Green Village.
The Green Village, yeah. So we're developing it's a small-scale solar system here, but just to show that it works end-to-end. So it's not just the platform, it's also, can we involve the crowd? It's, well, as you were mentioning as well, all the legal stuff that comes to such a platform, and the users and so forth. So we're currently building a showcase here, and we're doing 3 projects in the city of Rotterdam, also on solar. But it's much broader, right? And this whole energy transition is much bigger than just solar and you and me having a share in it. It's a very good step. But then, well, what we see happening, for example, in the port of Rotterdam, is that there's a huge need for battery capacity. But it's not just one company needing that. So it's a group of companies that need it, and there must be something to jointly invest. So everywhere you go, and every time you look into it, you need multi parties to get moving, and whether it's because of the legal constraints, or whether
capital intensity.
Capital intensity, absolutely.
Very high.
Interest rates are going up really, really fast.
Yeah, that's a challenge at the moment.
It will be harder over the next couple of years to find the funding properly.
Just for my understanding, and also I think for the viewers, you already touched upon one benefit of tokenizing these assets, or tokenizing energy, and that came from the benefit of basically democratizing energy, which Meinert also mentioned. Normally, these kind of investments, they are quite capital intensive. Yeah. Let's say $1 million plus. That's not available to the normal kind of the normal person. Can you think of other benefits of fractionalizing?
Of course. I think just having a piece in an asset that makes good revenue is just really a starting point. It's bringing together the right parties at this time, and then once we're able to tokenize the energy asset, then next step could be to tokenize the actual energy. I think you've been discussing that in other podcasts as well. Yeah. And yes, of course, we need the regulator there to make that step. But yes, there could be a next step. Next step could be that you, based on that, create your own energy system. I've got solar panels on. We're in Rotterdam. Our office is in Rotterdam. I've got solar panels on the Kuip. I've got my tokenized energy in my wallet, and I charge my car in Delft with my own green energy. So it's really the starting of a movement that we have a small role in that, facilitating that with a platform. But it's really a starting point of a movement that we're in a luxury position that us, but all the people you speak to in this podcast, are able to shape only together. So that's I think there's great opportunity there. To build a completely different energy system based on such technologies and networks.
Yeah, and we see the same in our solar parks, where we start with this fractional ownership, and it's just the first step to let people join this energy transition. And actually, you can buy a very small part, a fraction of a panel, and it, as you say, you can start with 100 euros, 50 euros, name a number. But it's the first step also in empowering people in making a difference. Yeah. And the first step is, if you have the ownership, in the current situation, you will be paid out in the currency that's legal, in this case euros. But as you suggest, it's so very well possible to pay out in kilowatt hours and actually help people on a real-time basis manage their energy usage. If it's a car, if it's at home, but it's not only about people, it's also about small businesses. Look at the newspapers right now, bakeries shutting down because of the energy bills. Yeah. If a smaller entrepreneur is able to manage his own energy risk by owning a fractional ownership of solar parks or wind parks or battery capacity or whatever source of energy you can think of, he's much more he's able to hedge his risks. So it's not only about the people at home; it's also about small businesses. Where, and I think we should realize that most people work with small businesses. I think 70 to 80% of our people work with small businesses. So it's giving these parties tools to mitigate risks that are so huge and actually threat their business. And therefore, we believe that this fractional ownership is just the first step. It's just getting used to owning a piece of energy production capacity. And there are so many other opportunities where you can think of. Just simple the data that comes from solar parks. It's a topic which you're working on as well. And this data has huge value.
It's something we also discussed with Leon in the energy tagging podcast.
Because it can predict, the consumption, it can predict production, but you also could do something with the certificates of origin. So there are so many opportunities in that market if you start thinking along the lines of fractional ownership. And for us, it's important to open up the first parks for this fractional ownership as a first step. And to overcome the hurdles in the beginning, that's where the real challenge is. And if we have a discussion on the technical needs, and we have a discussion on the KYC that we need, if we have a discussion on any money laundering, regulation is also important. How is the ledger kept? What is a token and how do we construct it? It takes a lot of effort and discussion, but it's technically the basis is there. So we should integrate these systems, bring forward the showcases, as you are doing here at this site and in the Port of Rotterdam, and as we are doing in our portfolio in Germany. Yeah. It brings huge steps forwards because it shows the way. Yeah. And that's really exciting. And where this will lead, I don't know. Perhaps you have an idea.
No, absolutely not.
Well,
sorry.
But with orchestrating the energy transition, Arash also mentioned quite interestingly. It was inspiring to me that the moment you own energy, you start to think differently about it. Yeah. And what one of the problems is, I think, over the last few years, is we took energy for granted. Energy was commoditized, or is commoditized. It's just something. It's there, although it's such an important foundational layer for the economy, for basically everything that we do.
And in the old energy world, it's also use it or lose it.
Yeah.
So, but in the new thinking, this loss shouldn't be there. Right. So,
in a way, and I think I used the word myself as well, but you mentioned orchestration, but in a way, it's tokenization of energy assets and later on energy and maybe even assets that use the energy, and why not share your electric car, have that tokenized as well, share it with your neighbors, and you can be the co-owner of an electric car, for example. But in a way, it's just moving away from orchestration and let people allow people to do it themselves. If you want to install a battery in your neighborhood, feel free, go ahead, have it tokenized. That's just a way to make sure that all your neighbors can own their piece in that battery capacity, and then please go ahead.
So like true decentralized community.
I think that's what we all try to facilitate, and that means also of course you need to build large solar park or windmill farms, because it's not possible to do all of that in the built environment. But you could allow people within the built environment to co-invest and still build their local energy system based on a token in a bigger asset somewhere else. And that's kind of what we aim to do, I think.
Because I have a lot of discussions with people around us that are also thinking along these lines. And they often ask me, what do you think? Should it be top-down or should it be bottom-up?
This is exactly what we also discussed during the first podcast. What's your view?
And if you look to our cases, a top-down discussion is very difficult. So it starts in small groups, initiatives in the neighborhood.
Innovators.
Energy sharing on small areas with production companies. And that's where it starts. And the first discussion you get with oversight is, I need to balance my network. I need to balance my system. Yeah. So, and that's the first approach from these parties. And then you will kill the innovation immediately.
And I think what you will see happening there, and again, we won't be able to forecast this 5 or 10 years, but what you will see happening is, for example, in industrial zones, is that you see the connection to the grid, you will see moving it backwards. So instead of having one connection to each building or each company, companies do organize themselves and say, well, we're together with 5, let's build our own, at least with the 5 of us, our own local energy system. We move the connection to the grid, because otherwise we have to wait for government. So we move the connection to the grid between the grid and our 5 companies, and then we start local trading there. We build some assets together, and we start local trading with the energy within that small group.
This is a great example, because actually this is also fractional ownership. And fractional ownership can be on the asset, but also can be on a series of kilowatt hours during a period of time. So we tend to think about the actual ownership, but if you think about ownership of series of energy, you're rethinking the system.
Use fract, basically.
Actually, yeah. So this is and this is why it's much broader than just only the consumer at home.
Definitely.
Because I think 50% or even more of all energy is used by companies.
Yeah.
So.
I think this is the biggest market
as well.
What I find interesting is, I think from these 3 podcasts that we are hosting today, I think one of the bigger takeaways is that I'm already starting to hear, and also really for the viewers, if you haven't seen the other podcasts, I would like to invite you to watch them as well, because I mean we see so many overlaps and similarities. What I find interesting is that the top-down and bottom-up approach, which you also mentioned, I mean, basically we've seen, and I've also learned that top-down approach really kills innovation. It really should be bottom-up, but there should be a moment in which we invite legislators to join all the innovation that we've seen to create that framework, that basis, to bring it to the next level. And in order to get there, we need to start on our own and keep it simple. That was also one of the other takeaways, and create standards like the Energy Tech Foundation is doing, and which which Leon with Sunnified is tapping into. So creating small. Ja, no worries. Je kunt eruit knippen, hè? Yeah. Als je 10 seconden wacht, dan zien ze ruimte en dan knippen ze eruit en dan gaan we door. Dus als je het zo meteen iets verneukt in je dingen, dan... no worries.
10 seconden vieze woorden gebruiken.
Oké, ga ik weer verder waar we waren.
You have this top-down...
bottom-up versus top-down, yeah.
But at the same time, keep it simple. Then we're able to create that first layer of innovation. Let people join join the innovation, and then legislators will join later on. But I'm also curious to learn. I mean, we can see the benefits and we can see the importance, because this also creates energy independence, and I think it's also a way to avoid or maybe fight energy poverty. But do you see any other hurdles in creating fractional ownership at this moment? I mean, you're experimenting with it as we speak here at the Green Village. How do you see the hurdles at the moment to actually implement this?
Yeah, well, let me come back to the two things. So, the hurdles, and also, is it bottom up or top down? I think it's both, and it's as always. So it's a simple answer, but it's always both.
More or less.
But you do need a framework. Mind and I, we can't trade energy between the two of us without having a license to be an energy company. So we need top down. That needs to be changed. Otherwise, we will never be able to trade energy between two citizens or two companies or whatsoever. So you need. There's always top down. You need the framework, and you need the area where you can do it. And it could be local regions to start, or it could be exemptions on existing law. But you need the legislator as well if you want to really test this. And then, of course, you can't regulate everything. There will always be more ideas that you can regulate. So will always be bottom up as well, since new things keep coming. And then in terms of hurdles, it's not that there are currently hurdles, but we could make it easier for each other, and that's really in legislation. I think we are building a tech platform that others could use to fractionalize assets. You're distributing assets or tokens of a solar park to the public, and we both, I think, spend probably 60 to 80% of our time on regulation and legal.
Yeah.
How do we fit this in the existing system?
And does it fit? Because you come up with new definitions, and you need a very intense discussion and we have multiple cases where we actually don't know what are we actually looking at. Is it consumption, or is it actual ownership? And if I follow this discussion in our company, and I know it's in yours as well, then you simply choose a way to fit into the current regulation, and you say, okay,
it's not the best solution. It's not our ideal, but let's move that direction, because then we can proceed. Yeah. And the discussion, if something is a security or is something a consumption good or whatever you can make of it. And I think this regulation comes from, on this topic, from many different routes, right? It's how it's legislation on using blockchain and tokens. So that's one part, but there's also
really
legislation on energy. So there's energy, and of course there's energy. There are energy laws as well. It's also if you facilitate trading, that's another legal thing you hit. So it's from every side, how we look at it. It's
if you start in an energy trade, and and it resembles a fiat currency, what is the difference with a MTF or an exchange?
Yeah,
and these discussions are so intense, and we'll need to have them together, because let's assume the three of us on a different side exchange energy, and there is a price risk involved. What are we together?
Oh, if there's a price risk involved, it's probably some sort of exchange. But if there's no price risk involved, then it's just a utility.
But what is a price risk? Is it internal or is it external? Or how if you use too much and there is too little, what happens? So these are all questions that pop up, and that is arranged in current regulation, and that is where the challenge is. And to find a way, I think bottom up will show the way. And then at the top, from the other side, we'll need to have to change to facilitate this. And this is also a bit happening in the new energy directives, where companies will get the availability probably to manage their own balance of energy usage. And that are the first good steps. And we simply need the systems from software perspective to support this, and we need the integration like we're doing with Catena Power to show how it works. And that is so, it's actually bringing to the table and putting it together and showing the world what we can do in a different way. And there are a lot of challenges, but I think it's doable. And you said charging your car, but also as an employee or as an employer, perhaps I won't give you a leasing budget anymore, but a energy budget for traveling.
Yeah, so many different models.
We've spoken to we've spoken to employers that say, well, we want to become more sustainable within our own business.
Yeah.
We do want our employees, or we want to allow our employees to co-invest in our company. Can we please use your platform? I think there's so many applications.
So basically, that's a funny point you touched upon. Basically, fractional ownership. I mean, obviously, we're talking about today about energy, fractional ownership of energy. But basically, the concept is applicable to so many other parts as well, and basically your platform then as well. I mean, it's just even real estate or even, like you said, shares.
Yeah, no, well, for my personal interest, and we as a company, and that's also why we're here. It's it's in energy transition. How can we facilitate that goes faster, and B, that we don't lose any people on the journey. But yes, of course, there's so many applications from homes to streets to whatever infrastructure or assets.
Actually, every illiquid asset can become liquid by fractional ownership.
Yeah.
So, and also accessible to huge groups of people. We have an enormous inequality in the distribution of capital, in a sense. And the fractional ownership on illiquid assets opens up a whole new world. If you could buy a Rembrandt via fractional ownership.
I've seen the first few initiatives offering that.
But it's possible. So you could say with 100,000 people, we buy one. Yeah. But you will never be able to buy one yourself, or most people won't.
Let's get Messi to Ajax. That's what I always say to the team. Yes, we are in the energy transition, but let's get Messi to Ajax as well.
So this is, we work in the field of energy, which is perhaps one of the most complex and challenging fields to cope with. Yeah. But we also see in our own network the need with larger and smaller companies and developers for city areas. We see so much question, how do we fulfill this energy need for the future? And everybody feels that the current system doesn't have the ability to accommodate the real questions that are on the table. And that's and bringing these discussions to the table is still something that has to be done. So it's still on a small scale, and there are small groups within companies, like 5 or 10 people, that are discussing this topic. But it should become it should get a higher place on the agenda to make a difference. And
I do think that we, at the moment, I feel that we're on the verge of a huge change with applying tokenization to markets in general. I mean, I've spoken to so many people already today that are busy with tokenization, standardization, the legal framework around it, the machine application in terms of chips, that I really have a feeling that it's about to take off. Yes, of course, there needs to be some. And even today on the roundtable sessions, the energy roundtable session here of 2 tokens, I think we've got legislators here sitting as well. So there's so much happening at this moment. How do both of you think the world will look like? Let's keep it short, like 3 years from now.
I think even 3 years is too long to forecast. But
36 months. So you're saying like 24 months then?
And
2 years.
And that's
let's do 2 years.
We were discussing all the problems, but I'm so optimistic, and that's exactly. Well, it's what you're saying in your introduction. We're here at the meeting of 2 tokens. We have 80 people in a room thinking with us. How could we accelerate this? These people do make legislation. They are working with energy companies, so there's getting momentum, but there's no one way of doing it. So we need to find out together, and I think there is great opportunity, but also there's great opportunism, and there are very good people involved that really want to help from all these different worlds. The city of Rotterdam provided us with funding to actually the next phase of our platform to have it available for Rotterdam, because this is important for our citizens. And yes, of course, there's issues with legislation, but even there, these people really want to work with us through the two tokens working groups. So I think this, well, we can be optimistic as well. And then back to your question, 5 to 6 months to 3 years. Us entrepreneurs, let us just build these first showcases, help us where possible, find projects, and then, like the City of Rotterdam, support us. Let's show it first and grow it from there, and then it will take on. In the Klimaatakkoord, we've said that 50% of all the assets that we will develop on land have to be in local ownership. That's already a government decision. It's been translated to 33 rest regions. So we will get there because it's coming from all sides.
That's a thriving force. And you asked the question, where are we in 3 years' time? But also it's interesting to ask ourselves, where were we 3 years ago?
Yeah.
And think about that. And where we are now today. 3 years ago, we were I think we were in an ICO boom.
For sure we were in an ICO boom.
Bitcoin was booming, Ethereum was booming, everybody was wondering. And I remember
in the energy
also,
market, like energy was like cheap, so there was no reason to think of tokenization. Energy was cheap; it was everywhere.
It was everywhere, and I remember discussions we had where I asked you, how can we translate this blockchain crypto world to the real world? And actually, we didn't know.
No.
We spent a few hours discussing, and we didn't know how to do it. And now we're 3 years further in time, and you see the first examples coming, and it's going so rapidly. There's so many parties involved that are chasing this fractional ownership and this energy transition. And you also see a sort of professionalism in the market where a lot of parties at first wanted to manage the whole value chain, and you already see parties specializing in certain parts of these value chains, and that's going so rapidly. So if you look 3 years forward, I also think that's too far. But I think in the next 12 to 18 months, we will see more and more examples of fractional ownership of energy-generating assets as a first step. And I hope we are able to do the first pilots with the offtake.
Yeah. And
to get an exemption for a certain area, or
like some sort of sandbox.
A sandbox where you can showcase what is possible. Because you refer to the Klimaatakkoord, and if we really want to have this 50% ownership, we also need to do something over there.
Yeah, there's a lot of work to do there.
There's a lot of work to do, and 3 years is so much time. But I hope that in 3 years' time that I have an energy wallet in my phone.
Well, the moment, normally energy, as I already mentioned in a few other podcasts as well, normally energy is quite boring. But at the moment, it's not, you know.
It's not at all.
And then also we're on the crossroads with applying tokenization, blockchain technology, which is also, you mentioned that so many more parties are involved. I couldn't agree more. I mean, a few years ago, it was not even allowed as a member of a bank, as an employee of a bank, to invest in crypto, for example. And now these banks have their own digital asset desk. They call it innovation desks, etc. So it's growing rapidly, and you see indeed there are so many new startups coming, and even already startups a few years ago. What I noticed is they were just trying to create solutions for the whole value chain, and now they're already specializing, which is, in my opinion, like a sign that it's already
a sign of a growing market.
It's not maturing yet, but it's growing fast. So there's so much happening on that side. I can see already that we're already passing half an hour, 30 minutes, and we only have 30 minutes. So when you've got a nice topic to talk about, time flies. Are there any final remarks before I wrap it off that you would like to say about fractionalizing, fractional ownership, which you think the market is heading towards, and for the viewers
I
to think
also
about?
To summarize this podcast, for me, the two things: we have to do it together, since it has there's so many perspectives on it.
Yeah,
that's great. And secondly, as I said, I see things moving, and it will go really, really fast. And let's enjoy the ride.
I think what I see for now as a final remark is that the challenge for the group that is working on this topic is that we need to come forward with a standardized definition of an energy token and source token and an offtake token, because that will help us
definitely
in talking about the same subject. And that's where, in my opinion, in tokenizing energy, the next few months we will need to discuss this to have this general understanding of an energy token, of a source token representing a certain amount of energy, of production power, and what is offtake, and how do we define it. So that's where the challenge is, and we will come forward with the first projects in the next few months. Also in an MVP phase to see how the fractional ownership actually works. And I know for sure that we will run in multiple problems. We cannot foresee.
Definitely.
And that's how it works, but that are all learnings which will bring forward a better solution. So I really look forward to that in this ecosystem, working together, changing ideas. So that's great.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I learned so much today, and we need to keep it simple. That was one of the bigger takeaways. The innovation needs to come from people like you. We need to start, and then legislation will join as well. We need to work towards standardization, and we need to, at some point, but I think the point has already arrived, work together with legislators, create sandboxes, and get this market forward. Meijnerd, I would like to thank you very much for your time and for your insights. Arnoud, for you the same. Thank you for joining, and it was good to have you for the first time here.
Thank you for having me. Thanks a lot. Thanks for
everybody,
hosting.
all the viewers, thank you for watching again. If you haven't done already, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Also, don't forget to like this video and hit the bell button if you want to be the first to know about all these podcasts. And also, we've recorded multiple podcasts today. The first one was orchestrating the energy transition, and the second one was energy tagging. So if you haven't seen them, please watch them as well, and I'll see you next time, and thank you again. Cheers, bye.
That was it for today's podcast. Thank you for listening in, and please subscribe so you don't miss out on our upcoming episodes. If you want to get in touch with us, you can find our contact details at www.twotokens.org.